Well, thank you for allowing me to be here this morning and speak about issue 2. I'm very happy to be here, and it's a shame that Joan couldn't be here. I know she's very passionate about this. I know she's been trying to figure out a way to solve redistricting for quite a few years now. The short answer is that our organization doesn't feel that issue 2 is still any better than anything else any other idea that's been put forth to voters. We don't feel that it actually solves the redistricting problems that Ohio has. Just really briefly, I'm the field director for Protect Your Vote Ohio, so I'm responsible for all outreach to groups like yours, county Republican parties, Republican clubs, Tea parties, anyone like that, statewide. That's what I do basically with the organization. So I've gotten the opportunity to travel quite a few thousand miles around the state to talk about this over the last couple of months. And it is interesting to see the different perspectives as you go around the state. Canton, for instance, is probably the most irate area in the state right now in terms of how they got drawn into district lines. Fairfield County, nearby, is also another example. They don't like the fact that Steve Austria is being forced out of Congress. So there are some people who are unhappy with how the district lines have been drawn. And we understand that completely. We're not here to defend the status quo. We're not here to say that the way redistricting is now is perfect, or that it's even remotely perfect. It's not. No one's defending it. Neither Republicans nor Democrats nor anyone in between is defending the current system. But that's not what's going to be on the ballot. I always like to say the question on the ballot is not yes or no, redistricting needs improvement. The question on the ballot is yes or no, issue 2 is the specific solution we want to solve redistricting. And I very strongly believe that the answer should be no to that. Hopefully you will vote no on issue 2, and I can just touch on some quick reasons why. One thing that this amendment would do, and this is a constitutional amendment, first of all. So this will be in our state constitution permanently. It'll be highly difficult to remove or change should it and when it proves to be ill-conceived and not working well. And a lot of folks are opposing issue 2 for just that reason, because a constitution is not a place to put half thought out policy or just a mere step in the right direction. If you want to put something in the Constitution, make sure that it is flawless. And issue 2 certainly is not flawless. The one thing it does is it scraps the district lines that were drawn in 2010 and would put in place for 2014, in time for the election in 2014, all new district lines drawn by this commission. The commission would get off the ground starting in 2013 and then have district lines in time for 2014. And you know, I would tend to believe that this was an honest intention and a sincere interest in improving redistricting had they just said, at the next time that we draw district lines in 2020, we'll use this new system. But the fact that the Democrats are supporting this, liberal organizations are supporting this, labor unions provide 98% of the funding. The fact that it would scrap the 2010 lines that arguably the Democrats did not do too well in the 2010 election just cries out to me that they just want to undo 2010, the elections of 2010. We had then Senator Husted, now he's the Secretary of State. Senator Husted at the time, before the 2010 elections, put out a bill that received bipartisan praise for making redistricting more bipartisan, more fair. The Democrats in the State House, who had control at the time, thought that 2010 would be a lot like 2008, and they just killed the bill. So now they're interested in suddenly coming back to the table and talking about redistricting after 2010. But all partisanship aside, there are some very nonpartisan concerns with this. For the First and foremost, we don't elect or unelect these commission members on this new redistricting commission. Mike is right that judges would pick these commission members or help pick these commission members. But the process is not public record, so we don't know what's happening during the process. The fact that the political parties still have the opportunity to eliminate, almost like voir dire, A good chunk of the candidates, basically those they feel would be least likely to be lobbied in their favor on the commission, still says that politics is being thrown into this process. The fact that the commission can demand any amount of funding they want and can set their own salaries for 10-year terms, they can set their own salaries with our tax dollars. That's just not responsible to the taxpayer, especially if you can't unelect these people. So if they spend your money wastefully, if they do something unethical, if they just do a poor job, you can't remove them, and you can't. And if they waste your money, that's money wasted. It's gone. There's no recouping that. They also get to, in addition to setting their salaries, they can spend all kinds of money on lawyers, consultants, experts, staffers, overhead, travel expenses, fringe benefits, anything like that. And one thing about the experts that they can hire, those are just going to end up being the same exact people now, the political pros, who do the redistricting for the parties already. They're the same people who have done it in the past. They're just going to be hired by the commission to be advisors now. It's still going to be that political insight being fed into the commission. So this really isn't isolating the commission from politics. The fact that the commission is going to be lobbied from both parties severely. These commissioners are just average citizens, theoretically, who are going to be put on this body. They're not going to know when some lobbyist from Capitol Square comes up to them and takes them out to a nice dinner and tells them about one city and how it should be in one district or another. They're not going to understand, like politicians can, when they're being played. And the other things, the fact that these commission members don't have to file any kind of expenses with lobbyists like public officials do. So there's really no accountability. If you look at the Columbus Dispatch editorial, they called it. They said that issue 2 raises more questions than answers. They also said the line drawers would not be accountable to voters. The Office of Budget and Management said that this could, for the first few years of operation, cost as much as $15 million is their estimate. In California, which is where this commission is based off of, they originally budgeted $3 million to last them 10 years. And just 4 years into that 10-year term, they're already at $10.5 million. 3.5 times over their budget, and they're only 40% of the way through the term. So you can see there's no fiscal accountability here. It's going to be a complete waste of money. But then other things, this was modeled after California, and yet they left out some very key provisions, like the fact that in California, the governor and 2/3 of the legislature can remove a commissioner if he's doing a poor job or if there's some other cause for removal. We wouldn't have that here in Ohio. There's no conflict of interest policy or ethics rules, not a single word about ethics in this amendment. And most importantly, the California one had a requirement for a bipartisan supermajority. This does not. So essentially, one party can still ramrod maps that the other party doesn't approve of. So what are we really solving here if one party can still be taken advantage of by the other side? They didn't enlist, when they came up with issue 2, they didn't enlist the support of both parties or even other parties. They didn't enlist the support of the judges that they would use on this commission. The judges have said, no thanks, we don't want any part of this, we don't see this as part of our job. It really seems like they haven't done their homework in drafting this. In short, the dispatch concludes this is one of the most poorly conceived ideas ever put before Ohio voters. 3 minutes. Planting it in the heart of the Constitution, where it would be extremely difficult to fix or remove, would bedevil Ohio politics for years. And that's what the dispatch said in their editorial. And newspapers like the Plain Dealer, Canton, where they're very upset with the district lines, even the Canton Repository has said no on 2, Youngstown Vindicator, Akron Beacon Journal. A lot of papers have said no on issue 2. Groups like the Bar Association, nonpartisan, very reputable group, has said no on 2. The Ohio Judicial Conference, which is the voice for all judges statewide, has said no on 2. Chamber of Commerce, both statewide and also a lot of the major city chambers of commerce have said no on to. Manufacturers Association. Farm Bureau is worried about how rural folks will be represented since these commission members are drawn at random. They're most likely to come from big cities. So there's a very widespread consensus that this should be defeated. But let's not stop there. Let's then look at how we can actually fix redistricting in a bipartisan manner with both sides of the table. Let's do it in the public arena so voters can see what's being put into this. Most voters don't know what issue 2 is. The amendment is 8 pages long. I don't know if anyone has looked at an early ballot yet, but the ballot language is ridiculously long as well. This thing is complex, it's long, it's confusing, it's arbitrary in a lot of ways. It's not a good piece of public policy. And you know, I was at the London Rotary Club a couple months ago, and I got a mug, and on the back was their 4-way test, and I saw it over there on the window. And I thought, you know, the 4-way test is a perfect example of what's wrong with issue 2. Is it the truth? No, they've lied about who they are. They've lied about who supported them. They've claimed endorsements that they don't actually have. They claim nonpartisanship, despite the fact that the Democratic Party is the operative force behind this. Is it fair to all concerned? No. Over half of Ohio couldn't serve on this Citizens Commission. Voters will lose accountability. Taxpayers will have their money wasted. And in California, the district lines after the commission were actually more partisan than the district lines before the commission. More lopsided. Will it build goodwill and better friendships? I think this campaign, which has shown that the parties are still squabbling, they're not going to suddenly lay down their swords on November 7th. It's not going to build goodwill. There are going to be costly and lengthy lawsuits about this, just like in California. California, they're still fighting. 4 years later, they're still fighting over the maps drawn by the commission and the commission itself. Will it be beneficial to all concerned? No. Taxpayers, voters, who can be on the commission? No one's going to benefit from this, regardless of party. Let's look at making a solution with a bipartisan supermajority, one that's completely public record. This is not completely public record. There's no spending cap, and let's not use judges. I think those are some very good starting points, and let's get both parties at the table. Let's get citizens at the table. This is just, unfortunately, a very poor piece of public policy. I would love, as a moderate Republican, I would love to see district lines drawn in a better way. Unfortunately, this just is not the solution, and so hopefully everyone will vote no on issue 2, and I would be happy to answer any questions that anyone has. So thank you very much for having me.